Hello everyone, welcome to third lecture of your quantity survey estimation and valuation. In today's lecture, we are going to see measurement of materials and work, that is unit of measurements. Now, the unit of measurements are mainly categorized for their nature, then shape, and then size, and for making payment to the contractors. The principle for unit of measurement normally consists the some points. On that points the units of measurements will be done. Okay, we will see what are those points on which units of measurement should be done. Now the first point is single unit of works like door or window or trusses, etc. Any single unit of work are expressed in terms of numbers only. Okay, means one door, two windows, four trusses, like that. Okay, this is your first point. Then second point is your work consist linear measurements involve length like a cornices, then finishing, then handrails, then bands of specified width are expressed in running meter, that is rm. Are you getting? The work consists of linear measurements, means we are measure the any work in terms of length. For example, skirting. Skirting is fixed on a floor, right? Now that skirting is measured in terms of running meter. Then railing. In staircase, there is a railing. Then pipes. Okay, pipe is measured in terms of length. So the all the units will measured in terms of running meter. This is your second point. Then third one is your work consists of area, surface measurements involve area like a plastering, then whitewashing, then painting, then partition of specified thickness, etc. are expressed in terms of square meter. Okay, where you are doing the painting, then plastering of a wall, then partition wall having specified thickness, all that are measured in terms of square meter, means length into its height or breadth. Then the fourth point is your work consists of cubical contents, right? Means volume. Cubical content means volume. In which volume like earthwork, then cement concrete, then masonry, then mass masonry, then mass brickwork, okay, etc. are expressed in terms of cubic meter. Means we are calculating the volume of that, means length into breadth into height. Okay, the items having volume or cubical contents, which are generally measured in cubical content. Now we will see based on IS 1200 revised revision, there are building items or civil engineering items, and they give the units of measurements for each item. We will see one by one for which item what is the unit of measurement and what is the unit of payment. Like we will see first earthwork. Earthwork means there is a hauling, excavation, shifting, all the earth material related to that items is a earthwork. Okay, in earthwork the units are, unit of measurement is your cubic meter, means length into breadth into height. Suppose earthwork in excavation means you have to do excavation. So how will you calculate the unit? How will you measure the how much earthwork will be done? Then that will be calculated as a length of excavation into breadth of excavation into depth of excavation. That the unit of that item is cubic meter. And if you have to give the payment to the contractor, then how will you give the payment to the contractor? In terms of percent cubic meter. Now how percent cubic meter? Suppose you have one contract of excavation. You have to do the work for a building. Now for that building there is a mass excavation, and the mass excavation is in scheduled quantity. It is suppose 1000 cubic meter. Okay, now you have to do the excavation 1000 cubic meter. Now in first week you have completed 100 cubic meter of excavation, then your payment will be done in terms of percentage. That 1000 cubic meter is considered as a 100% of your excavation done, right? Now in first week you have completed only 100 cubic meter of excavation. Now the 100 cubic meter is 10% of your 1000 cubic meter, means you will get the 10% payment released in your first payment, that is your percentage cubic meter payment, right? Now similarly, earthwork in filling, then earthwork in filling in plinth or in trenches, the unit is same cubic meter, and unit of payment is also percent cubic meter. Okay. Now next, your item is your concrete. In concrete there are different items. Now first item is your lime concrete in foundation. That is also we called as a lime concrete, is also called as a PCC, plain cement concrete in foundation, right? Below the foundation we will provide some concreting. That concreting is calculated in terms of cubic meter, and the rate for that is per cubic meter. We will give the payment for a per cubic meter. Then cement concrete in lintel. Above the doors and windows will provide lintels. That lintels also is calculated in terms of cubic meter. Then RCC slab is also calculated in cubic meter, and rate is per cubic meter. Okay. Then CC, that is or RCC cement concrete or reinforced cement concrete on chajjas or sunshades. Okay, that is also calculated in cubic meter. Then LC in a roof terracing. LC means lime concrete in roof terracing. For a waterproofing we will provide the lime concreting on a roof terracing, and that concrete thickness is very less, generally maximum up to 40 mm, and it starts from 25 mm, means 2.5 centimeter to 4 centimeter thickness, and that thickness is negligible, so we will calculate the lime concrete in roof terracing in square meter. Okay. Now we will see cement concreting bed. On a bed cement concreting, it is calculated in cubic meter. Then RC sunshades specified width and height, it is also calculated in cubic meter, but the rate is given for a RC sunshade is running meter, means how much sunshade you have completed in that concreting, length of that sunshade, the rate is fixed for that length of sunshade. Okay, means 10 meter of sunshade you have done in concreting, then your rate will be given on a 10 meter of length, right? Now the next part is your dump proof course, that is DPC. DPC is provided below the damp proof course is provided below the your wall, right, to avoid the dampness of your structure. And this has very less thickness, so it is generally calculated in square meter. Okay, and rate is given as a per square meter. Then the main item is your next one main item is your brickwork. Then brickwork in foundation, then brickwork in plinth, and brickwork in superstructure. All the brickworks will calculated in a cubic meter. But thin partition wall, I already told that partition wall between the two rooms and having specified thickness which is less than 100 mm, then 100 mm or 100 mm, then that will be calculated in square meter. Then brickwork in arches, cubic meter, reinforced brickwork, cubic meter. Then next one is your stonework. Now stonework is calculated in cubic meter. Then woodwork. Woodwork generally in metric system it is provided in terms of cubic meter, and in feet system it is given in cubic feet, right? Now doors, windows, frames, chowkat, rafter, beams, all are calculated wood in a cubic meter or cubic feet. Make sure that it is also calculated in cubic feet. Now shutters of doors and windows, shutters having specified thickness, right, that is 2 inches shutter, 2.5 inches shutter, 1 inches shutter, 1.5 inches shutter having less thickness means 25 mm, 1 inches shutter means 25 mm, half inches means your 12.5 mm thickness of shutter. That all shutters of doors are, that is plywood, is calculated in square meter. Then doors and windows fitting like a hinges, then rocks, handles, tower bolts, all that are calculated in terms of number. You will purchase it from stores and you have to pay in numbers. Then steel work. In steel work, steel reinforcement bars in RCC and RB work, it is measured in terms of quintal. Okay. Now bending, binding of steel reinforcement, all is in terms of quintal. Then rivets, bolts, nuts, all the in terms of quintals, anchor bolts, everything. Now next item is your roofing. In roofing, RCC and RB slab roof excluding steel. If in your roofing there is not present of steel, then that will be calculated in terms of cubic meter. Okay. Then lime concrete roof over the inclusive tiles. Lime concrete, I have already told about lime concrete. What do you mean by lime concrete? And inclusive of tiles or bricks or a stone slab, thickness specified, which is also calculated in a square meter, like that a lime concrete. Okay. Then centering and shuttering formwork, always square meter. Centering and shuttering formwork means during the execution of work, if you are casting your column, casting your beam, casting your slab, for that we are providing plates or plywoods, and that plate plywood material is called as a shuttering material, and that shuttering material is calculated in terms of areas, that is square meter. Then AC sheet on roofs, that AC sheets are also calculated in a square meter. Okay. Now plastering, pointing and finishing. Next item, final item. Then in plastering cement or lime mortar thickness, always calculated in square meter. Then pointing means after doing a plastering, we are doing pointing, that is you will see on your compound wall, the pointing is between the mortar fitted on a two bricks, right? Then we will provide notch between that mortar or providing some molding on that mortar. That molding or notch is called as a pointing. Okay. Now that pointing is measured in square meter. If your wall is running, if your wall is having more length, then sometimes your pointing is calculated in a running meter also, but generally it is calculated in square meter. Then whitewashing, color washing, any painting work, calculated in a square meter. Okay. Now distempering, before doing the painting, we are using the distempering paint. It is square meter. All painting work in square meter. Now next one is your flooring. Now flooring, 25 mm centimeter concrete over 75 mm lime concrete. Okay, 25 mm cement concrete over 75 mm lime concrete. It is measured in terms of square meter. All flooring work is measured in terms of square meter. No any cubic meter for a flooring. Always make a mind in that flooring is always calculated in a square meter. Then doors and window seals, cement concrete or cement mortar plane, square meter. Then next one is your rainwater pipe. I have already told about the pipe. Pipe is always measured in a running meter in terms of length. Then steel wood trusses. Trusses are calculated in terms of numbers. Then glass panel. Glass is always calculated in terms of square meter. Then fixing of glass panel or cleaning, fixing charges, number. How many glasses are fixed? 1, 2, 3, 4. On that basis, your payment will be done. Okay. Now we will see the rules of measurements. Okay. Now the rules of measurements. How will you do the measurement on a site? for a calculation for calculate the quantities of different items, we will measure the length and breadth of each items accurately, and how should be that measured, and how should be the accuracy, that we will see now. Now the rules of measurements of each item are invariably described in IS 1200, and the some rules for that are like that. Now first one is your our first point is your made for a finished item of work, and description of each item means what? Measurement shall be made up for a finished item of work, only finished item in a building. If the finished items will be done, then and then only we will do the measurement of that item. Means measurement shall be made for a finished item of works, and description of each item shall be included material, transport, labor, fabrication tools and plants, and all types of overheads for finishing the work in required shape, size and specification. Okay, we will do the measurements, that is okay, but in description part we have to write the materials used for that work, for that item, then what are the transportation charges, which labors are you are going to use for that to complete that item, then which plants and machineries you have used for to complete that item. All the description you have to write in a description column. Now next point is your booking order, like length, breadth and height. Now in after doing the measurement, you have to write all the measurements in a MB book, that is measurement sheet book, measurement book, that is MB book, we will call it as a MB book. And in MB book there is one format. The first column is your serial number or code number, then description of that item, then length, breadth and height. So you have to write the all the measured lengths in this sequence only. First you have to measure the length, and the main length should be right in the length column, then breadth should be right in the breadth column, and height should be right in the breadth column. And the sequence of writing in MB book is length, then breadth, then height and then thickness, in this only. Okay, now third point is your linear measurements, then area measurements, then volume measurements. I will tell about this. Now all work shall be measured subjected to the this tolerance. Now the tolerance is should be now for linear measurements, means we are measuring the length of item, right? Now linear measurements shall be measured nearest to the 0.001 meter, nearest to the 0.001 meter. I will show you. This is the list dimension. You can call it as a list count also. Okay, means you have to measure the length up to the accuracy of 0.01 meter. Then if you are going to measure the area shall be measured nearest to the 0.01 square meter, and volume measured to the nearest 0.01 cubic meter. Okay, with that much accuracy we have to measure the length, then area and then volume. Okay, now next, same type of work under different conditions measured differently. Means what? Same type of work under different conditions and nature shall be measured separately under separate items. If there are same type of works but we are measuring it differently because they are under separate items. Okay. Now the fifth point is the bill of quantities shall fully describe the material, proportions, workmanship and accurately represent the work to be executed. The bill of quantities shall be fully describe the materials, first material, then proportions of that materials, then workmanship required for that item, and accurately represent the work to be executed. And the last point is your in case of masonry, that is stone masonry or brick masonry or any structural concrete, the categories shall be measured separately and height shall be describe. Okay, now how the categories shall be measured separately and how the height shall be described. Now it is in terms of different heights. Now first is from foundation level to the plinth level, that you have to measure separately. That height you have to measure separately. Then from plinth level to the first floor level, that height you have to measure separately. And from first floor level to the second floor level, and so on. Like that you have to measure the height separately and you have to describe that. Okay, with this I will stop here. Thank you. If you have any doubts, then you can contact me or WhatsApp me. I will clear your doubts. Thank you.